Out of all of America's crises, there is one battle brewing that used to be just an elephant in the room. It's the left's infiltration of our classrooms. Gone are the days of the left quietly moving the goalposts without any retribution, thanks to groups like the American Principles Project. They're on the front lines of the culture war. Yesterday, they announced their Big Family Pledge to hold candidates accountable in supporting efforts to ensure that parents have the final say in the upbringing of their children, not the government. Aspiring politicians who sign the agreement, they will be putting their money where their mouth is when it comes to defending girls' sports, rebuking race and gender propaganda in schools, and protecting life from conception until death. I'd like to welcome the president of the American Principles Project, Terry Schilling. Terry, it's great to see you. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me, Jen.
So I mentioned the highlights there of the Big Family Pledge, but tell us in your own words why you launched it and the response you've gotten so far.
Well, we wanted to be different than a lot of the other DC groups. Many of them actually come out and endorse candidates and tell the voters who to vote for. We wanted to do something totally different, and we wanted to tell voters what candidates would do if elected to office. And what we wanted to do was also address the biggest issues facing the American family, primarily the ability of parents to raise their children according to their own values. And so we talked to parents, we talked to our members of the Big Family, our membership organization, and these were the things that they were concerned about. They were concerned about their kids learning that men can have babies in school. They were concerned about racist concepts like critical race theory in their kids' schools, and they were concerned about boys and their daughters' sports. These were all issues that we heard from our supporters and from activists all across the country that they wanted their politicians to address.
Terry, based on what you're hearing now from parents, how big of an issue do you think, how big of a role, rather, do you think these issues are going to play heading into the midterms this year? We saw, obviously, how it turned out in the Virginia election. What do you think going into November of this year?
I think that we are heading into a bigger wave than what we saw in the Tea Party years of 2010, right? I think that this is going to be basically a Tea Party, but Tea Party for families. The election victory that Glenn Youngkin ushered in just a few months ago was so enormous. He swung the state of Virginia, which is a purple state, by 12 points to win, and that was largely powered by parents and families who were upset at the progressive and woke left's agenda and their attempts to get them out of their classrooms and out of the business of their kids. This is getting hotter and hotter every day. I tell people that it isn't about the culture wars. The culture war is the war. This is where everything's going to be fought and determined. This is what pulls on people's heartstrings. This is what they care about. They care about their kids. They care about their families. And everything else is a means to support that and to create memories and provide for those families. So the family issues are going to be what drives Republicans to victory in the upcoming midterm elections.
And Terry, I know that your group is targeting Texas candidates first because they have an upcoming primary, and you recently started a $1 million ad campaign to get Greg Abbott on board with outlawing gender reassignment surgeries on kids in Texas. You've also called on him to sign this pledge. His primary challengers have already signed it. Why do you think he hasn't?
Well, I think that what we're learning about Greg Abbott is that he is very reluctant to take any type of bold or decisive actions that might put him in the crosshairs of Big Pharma or any of these big corporations that are making money off of this movement. He's been hesitant to really take bold actions in a lot of other areas. But we're hoping that this grassroots advocacy campaign that we are spending money on cable and digital advertising, letting voters know that he still hasn't taken a position on these issues and hasn't done anything to protect kids. We're hoping that that's enough to push him over the finish line and get him to sign something into law that will protect kids from these types of gender modifications. It's absolutely a travesty what we're allowing to have happen to kids across the country, but it's completely unacceptable to be happening into a big red state like Texas.
Yeah, and, you know, parents' rights are really something that the Biden administration has ignored. They've pushed back against. A recent example being their backlash against Florida's new bill to ban sexual and gender orientation teachings in schools. Who's winning on this issue down in Florida, do you think? And is there any hope for parents in blue jurisdictions out there?
There's always hope, and we have to always remember to do the right thing and to continue fighting until the very end. But Jen, I'll tell you, we are winning this battle. And what Joe Biden said today about that Florida legislation is completely radical. This is a piece of legislation that would only apply to kindergarten through 5th grade, right? So that's about 6 years old to 11 years old. And it keeps teachers from talking about sexually inappropriate material to these kids. And if they do talk about sexual matters, they have to at least get the permission of the parents. This is a non-controversial bill only to normal everyday people. But if you're a radical woke progressive like Joe Biden and everyone in his administration, apparently it's unacceptable and it's hate speech. We're just trying to protect kids. We're just trying to give parents the ability to control the education of their children and to protect their innocence at the earliest ages, kindergarten through 5th grade.
Well, Terry Schilling, always fighting the good fight. Thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thanks, Jen.